Hey everybody, Danielle from Rooted Studio in Platteville, Wisconsin. Today we're going to be doing a very dynamic practice to bring lots of movement into your body, which is going to be great if you've been sitting a lot lately. You'll want 2 blocks for sure, and possibly 1 as we start our practice. We'll start in Virasana or hero pose, which is just like this with you sitting on your heels. If that is not accessible, you can take a block and place it between your ankles and then sit back. Keeping your knees together, but then this provides a little more support. So from the front, my knees would be together, sitting on the block, heels are tucked underneath me just a little bit. If that's not accessible to you without or with the block, you can just sit in simple cross legs, and that's not a problem. Whatever is most comfortable for you, begin to work into that initial position and settle in. No matter which position you're choosing, take your hands next to you and use your fingertips pushing into the ground to lift your chest up. So you're not lifting your sit bones off your heels if you're sitting this way. You are just lifting up and out of your torso, creating more length in your spine. See if you can keep connected at your glutes and your heels, or your glutes in the floor if you're sitting in cross legs. And this would be a great time to close your eyes if you're comfortable with that, if they're not closed already. Continue to feel the connection as you're pushing up through your fingertips. Elongate through the sides of your body, through your ribs, through your neck. Make sure you're not holding your breath. Tongue is relaxed in your mouth. And now see if you can maintain that length in your spine as you gently take your hands off the ground and rest them in your lap or somewhere else comfortable. You should still feel the expansion through your lower body, lower ribs, through your neck. Take your shoulders, gently roll them away and back down your back. When you do that, check and make sure that you're not projecting your low ribs forward. Sometimes when we do that, we want to kind of stick our chest out, our belly button pushes forwards. See if you can maintain a neutral spine. Everything is stacked. Low ribs drawn in. And become aware of the contact point where your sit bones meet either your heels, your block, or the floor. Can you continue to grow up and out of that connection point? If you're not already breathing into your belly space, begin to take your breath deeper. You should be aware of the openness across your chest, but as you breathe into your belly, that openness stays pretty constant. You're not poofing up at the chest and collapsing at the chest. When we breathe, quote unquote, normally, most of us breathe from our chest. I want you to breathe from your belly. You can even place a hand on your stomach if it helps, feeling it push forwards and backwards. Maintaining the length in your spine, the gentle rolling back of the shoulders. Make sure your jaw is loose, maybe opening and closing your mouth a couple times. Tune into any sensations in your hands, in your feet. Where can you feel your heartbeat right now? you still breathing into your belly, or did you lose that? And if you did, don't beat yourself up. It's easy to lose our breath, so continue to breathe into your belly space. Feel the stillness in your body right now, remembering that today's practice has a lot of movement in it. So you'll become very aware of the difference, but first connecting to this place of peace. And we will end in Shavasana in this place of peace as well. We'll come full circle. Let's take a nice big breath in through your nose. Notice if your chest lifted or if your belly poofed forwards, holding it here. And exhale through your mouth. Let's do that again. Consciously make it come from your belly space. Inhale. Hold. Hold just a little bit longer. Big exhale. Perfect. Open up your eyes if your eyes have been closed. We're going to stay in this position, but work on opening the chest a little bit. And this is a theme we're going to repeat throughout the class. So we'll get this feeling into our body right now because we'll keep coming back to it. So first, in your back, recognize you have three sections of your back. Your low back is the lumbar. The middle back is the thoracic region, sometimes referred to as the dorsal spine. And then you've got your cervical spine up at your neck. First, we're going to work on getting a little bit of a round through the dorsal, I almost call it thoracic, through the thoracic and cervical region. So kind of that, what I call dorsal part of your spine. Technically, anatomically, dorsal means backside, so it's all of your spine. But you sometimes hear it called that in yoga. You're going to clasp your hands, interlace your fingers, and send your knuckles down towards the ground behind you. Notice as you do that, you might project your ribs forwards a little bit. We want to avoid that. Now, one thing for me, my arms are really long, so my hands are actually hitting my feet right now. And it would almost be better for me to have a block to raise me up a little bit, because now I can reach down further with my knuckles, or maybe even 2 blocks would be good for me. So just become aware of your body, because we'll be reaching the knuckles down towards the floor to get a little bit of an opening in your upper spine. So as you reach your knuckles down, begin to check if you're projecting your low ribs forwards and bring that in. So you've got a nice, flat, long, low spine. Inhale and lift up out of your torso like before, out of your hips. And as you exhale, reach your knuckles further down towards the ground, but bend from the upper half of your spine. We're not just collapsing in with the low spine. This is a nice lift and tip. Feel the openness across your chest. Really drag your shoulders down away from your ears. Make sure you're not excessively tucking those ribs out. You want to tuck them in. You could even imagine that your chest is against a wall and you're trying to keep your belly button and your low ribs pushed flat against the wall. Keep breathing and release. We'll do that one more time. If you feel like you need to round the opposite direction, feel free. You're going to interlace your hands the other way, so your other thumb is on top. Inhale, lift. Exhale, reach your knuckles down, tip back, spreading across the collarbones. Maybe even tipping your head back a little bit further if that's okay. If it feels too constricting on your breath, don't do it. Should feel no crunching in your lumbar whatsoever, because this is an upper back bend. And come back to center. We'll release forwards into tabletop. Finding some cat-cow. Just going at your own pace as you exhale, rounding your back. And as you inhale, dropping your belly, looking up towards the ceiling. Continuing again at your own pace, but see if you can stay connected to your spine. What part of your spine is moving? Is it the lumbar Is it the thoracic? Is it the cervical? Are there multiple parts moving at once? We're slowly warming your body up so we can really get into our movements today. Finding any extra movements that feel good. And let's begin to make some circles in this cat-cow movement, combining in a couple other moves as well. So exhale, round your back, look towards your thighs, begin to roll forwards, letting your hips drop. You might have to walk your hands out a little bit in front of you. You don't have to come all the way down. Push back, rounding all the way back through child's pose. From child's pose, drag your body forwards, coming into that back bend we just did. It's kind of a fusion between cobra and up dog. We'll talk about that difference today. Round your spine, push back. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhaling forwards and up. Exhaling back, rounding through. 1 more. Rounding all the way through. Resting in child's pose a moment. Walk your fingertips as far away from your body as you can get them. Really stretch through your side ribs. Maybe even picking up your head and looking forwards. And then you'll come up into down dog. I'm going to take off my sweater because I can already tell I'm going to start getting warm pretty quick here. So in down dog, just pedal out your feet a little bit. Find length in your spine. Roll forwards into plank. Make sure that your hands are underneath your shoulders, elbows tucked in and tight like there's newspapers underneath your armpits. Good, keep breathing. Now here from plank, untuck your toes and begin to lower your hips, but keep your thighs off the ground, still pinching those newspapers underneath your armpits. So this is up dog. Up dog has thighs off the ground, whereas cobra is usually lower and has thighs on the ground. Make sure that you're not scrunching your shoulders up towards your ears. Really push and keep your shoulders down. Shoulder blades pinching. Untuck your toes. Go back, down dog. Come forwards into plank. Squeezing your armpits. Untuck your toes. Lower your hips. So feel how this is similar to that stretch at the beginning with our arms. Untuck, go back. Bring down your knees. Grab your blocks. You're going to place your blocks where your hands will be for up dog. I just want you to get this feeling of lifting through your side ribs, through the feeling of pinching your shoulder blades down and back, because this is going to be a theme throughout class today. Just like we did here, reaching down. Think of how that rounds your spine. This is a similar round that we have in up dog. Up dog can create a little more lumbar of a bend as well. So from tabletop, with your hands on the blocks, go back into plank. And then begin to untuck your toes, lower your hips, keep your thighs off the ground, shoulders down away from your ears, maybe looking up. Feel the curve in your spine, getting long through your torso. Really use the blocks to push down as you lift up. And bring down your knees, push back into tabletop. We'll do that 1 more time. Notice the difference between that lift with the blocks versus the lift when we're just doing this on the ground. 1 more time. Nice chest opener. If we sit rounded forwards all day, this is a great way to counter that. So hands on the blocks, step back into plank, elbows tucked in, everything is tight. Bring down, I was going to say bring down your knees, but untuck your toes, bring down your hips. Push through your blocks, open through your chest. Keep breathing. Bring down your knees, push back. Move your blocks out of the way. Keep those feelings in mind with the low back curve and the upper back curve as we go through class today. Push back into down dog. And then look up towards your hands, walk forwards. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arms overhead. Really reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift, lengthening your spine forwards. Exhale, fold. Step back into plank. Inhaling in plank. Exhaling and lowering, bringing down your knees, untucking your toes, coming all the way down to the mat. We'll do a cobra this time. Hands next to your shoulders, elbows pointing back, tops of the feet on the mat. Inhale, pull up. Shoulders away from the ears. Bring your shoulder blades together like you're squeezing a pencil. Together and down. Keep breathing. Feel the openness across your chest, elbows tight. Lower down, untuck, push back, down dog. Big exhale. Look forwards, step forwards. Feel free to make that a jump. Inhale overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold and step back into plank. Inhale in plank. Exhale, lower, either coming into cobra or coming in to up dog. Inhaling up. Exhale, push back, down dog. Inhale, down dog. Exhale, walk or jump forwards. Exhale. Inhale, overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Before we move on, clasp your hands behind your back. Drop. Feel the stretch across your chest. Make sure you're not excessively pushing forwards. Keep your belly and low ribs in. Exhale, release. Inhale, overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold and step back into plank. Inhale in plank. Exhale, lower. You can do chaturanga if you know chaturanga. Inhale up. Exhale, push back, down dog. All right, here comes the challenge. From down dog, lift your right leg. Come forwards into plank, but keep your right leg lifted. Bring down your left knee, keep your right leg lifted. Untuck your left toes. Come down all the way to the ground, keeping your elbows tight to your body. Keep your right leg lifted. Squeeze your glutes on that side. Elbows tight to your body. Inhale, lift up. Exhale. Another inhale, right leg is still lifted. Exhale, untuck your left toes. Push all the way back down dog, keeping your right leg lifted. Look up towards your hands. Step your right foot through. Coming into a low lunge. Now in low lunge, I want you to find some cat-cow. So you might need to step in a little bit closer to give your hands more of a reach. You could also use blocks underneath your hands if you have shorter arms. Whichever option you're going with, hands on the floor or hands on the blocks, as you exhale, round your back. Feel free to bring your hips up like you see me doing. straightening my front leg. And then when I inhale, I'm going to drop and let my hips really drop. And then I'm going to exhale, rounding my back, tucking my head. And then inhale, drop. So find your own rhythm, your own pattern, your own movement. Start to get going in those hips, waking everything up. You can go fast, you can go slow. Whatever movement you're finding, come back to neutral. Take your left heel down. Spin, cartwheel open to warrior two. Might need to adjust length here. So should be able to see big toe, second toe past your knee. Body faces the long edge of your mat. Arms parallel to the ground. See if you can make a square. I know I'm not quite there right now. It's a good challenge to see if you can get that thigh parallel to the ground. Flip your front palm, reverse, on an inhale. Exhale here. Inhale. Exhale, come into side angle, bringing your elbow to your knee, left hand reaching overhead. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, come back. Reverse. Inhale. Exhale. Come forwards. Inhale. Exhale. Last inhale. Come back to warrior two. Stretch out your hips here a little bit by just taking your hips and very small movements. I'm just kind of tucking them. I'm getting a really good stretch here on my thigh. You might be feeling it elsewhere. It's okay if your front leg starts to straighten a little bit. Come back into warrior two. Turn your body back towards center as you cartwheel down. Bring your left heel up. Make sure you can come into a nice low lunge here. Reset your heel back down. Lift up into warrior one. So normally we come right up into arms extended. I want your arms by your sides to start. Make sure that your body's facing the front of your mat. Can you get into a square on your front leg? Clasp your hands behind you and then switch the clasp right away. Just like at the beginning of class, send your knuckles down towards the ground, but beware of excessively pushing out your belly, your low ribs. Because I'm wearing a t-shirt, sometimes it might look like I'm sticking mine out more than I actually am. Plus my belly sticks out a little bit. But in my body, I can feel that I'm drawing that in. Keeping your body pointed towards the edge of your mat. Feel the space across your collarbones. Maybe look up. Be aware of crunching your lumbar. Keep the lift and the spread across the collarbones. Take your hands down, fingers just pointing straight down towards the ground. Keep the length in your body. Take your arms overhead. Biceps to ears, shoulders away from ears. We're here for 3, 2, 1. Bring your hands down. Turn your left toes forwards. Step back, down dog. Other side, left leg up. Come forwards into plank. Keep your left leg lifted. Elbows tight to your body. Bring down your right knee. Untuck your right toes. Lower down. Keep your leg lifted. Inhale up. Exhale. Inhale. On your exhale, push back to down dog, keeping your left leg lifted. Look up towards your hands. Step through. Low lunge. I'm going to turn around. So starting with that little bit of cat-cow here, if you need the blocks, find blocks and lift. Otherwise, exhaling and rounding. Inhaling and dropping. Finding your own pace. Any extra movements? Coordinate with your breath how it makes sense. Come back to neutral. Bring down your right heel. Cartwheel open, warrior two. Really getting into that front leg. Reverse your warrior on an inhale. Exhale. Extended side angle. Inhale back. Exhale forwards. Inhale back. Exhale forwards. One more. Inhale back. Exhale, warrior two. Just checking in here, warrior two. Exhale, cartwheel your hands. Spin your back foot, get neutral in your lunge here, turning your hips back down towards center. Bring your right heel down again, coming up. Warrior, arms by your sides first, clasp behind you, lift your chest, reach up and out of your torso. Nice, slow, deep breaths. Can you get your front leg to a square? Makes you feel the burn a little bit more. Hips still facing forwards. Take your hands down by your sides. Keep the lift in your chest. Take your arms up. And this time cactus your arms. So you're opening your arms wide, still keeping your hips pointing forwards. Maybe a back bend. Pinch your shoulder blades. Draw your shoulders down. Come down. Bring down your right knee. Bring your left leg back. Come into child's pose. Knees wide, big toes together. And here in child's pose, I want you to catch your breath. Notice if it's sped up, if it's gotten more shallow. There's still more movement coming, so get control of that so it's not out of your control as we keep moving along. When you're ready, come up to down dog. Right leg lifts. Send it through. Drop your back knee, untuck your toes. Now you have to make sure you have an angle here through your leg. If you are sitting right on top of your knee, you will not get any stretch. So you have to have a nice square in your front leg and an angle back here. You can walk your back leg back further if needed. And then take your hands up to your knee. Get balanced here first. Keep your right hand on your knee. You can even take your forearm down. Open your left arm to the side. Maybe you can look back at your hand. Can you keep your hips dropping? We're going to go the other way next. Taking your left hand to your knee or the forearm. Right arm opens. Come back to center. Bring your hands down. Take your foot outside of your hands with your toes off and your heel on. And just begin to let your knee drop open and closed. So I'm going to pick my body up just so you can see. So you're just rolling your knee back and forth, getting mobility in your hip. You can also wiggle your hips if that helps stretch out your back leg. And then take your foot back in between your hands, pick up your back leg, low lunge, keeping both toes pointing forwards, lift up into a high lunge. We'll pulse here. You can take your knee all the way down to the ground if you're really ambitious, or you can pulse shallow. It's up to you and what your body is asking for. Taking your biceps to your ears, reaching up through your fingers, taking your pelvis and gently tucking it underneath, keeping the ribs drawing in. And begin to pulse. Coordinate your breath. Don't worry about how many you do. If you're going down farther, you might have fewer than I do, just because you're going deeper. Come back to neutral, staying in high lunge. Take your back foot in a step closer. Set that heel down, body facing the front of your mat. Reach forwards and then down. I can't extend too far because the wall is right here. But find your pyramid, either hands on shins or bring your blocks. I need to back up. Take your hips and really square them towards the front of your mat. We're going to begin to walk forwards into a standing split. If you have blocks, hold on to your blocks. Walk forwards. If not, you'll set your hands down on the mat. Take your back foot in a step. When you're settled, pick your back leg up. Bringing your head down towards the ground. Getting your leg as high as you can go. I've seen people in this pose who can get their leg like straight up to the ceiling. Not my body. You could grab your ankle if your hands are on the ground. Lift up to a flat back. And we'll do 3 jiva squats. You're going to take your left knee to the outside of your right calf. And extend. 2 more. 1 more. Extend. Left leg down. Forward fold. Any movements you need. Maybe moving your blocks out of the way if you had blocks. Whew. Catch your breath. I know this one's kicking my butt. I find myself out of breath a lot. It doesn't help that I'm trying to talk at the same time. Plant your hands. Step back into plank. Either meet me in down dog or come through a lowering chaturanga or lowering your knees. Inhale up. Cobra, up dog. Exhale, push back, down dog. Left leg up. Send it through. Bring down your back knee. Untuck your toes. Take your hands up to your left knee. We'll begin a twist here first. Left forearm can come to your knee. Right arm opens to the side. Maybe looking back behind you. Pay attention to what you feel in your hip. Back to center. Right arm rests, left arm reaches. Continue to breathe. Come back to center. Hands down, foot is outside your hands, toe off, heels on, roll your knee. Get into your hip. Feel free to take extra hip wiggles as needed. Whatever works out your hip here in the way that you need it. Bring your foot back in between your hands. Lift up your back leg. Low lunge. Hobble in closer. Back foot is turned in. Front leg straightens. Pyramid. Feel free to use blocks, especially because we're coming into standing split. Make sure your hips are facing the front of your mat. Draw your right hip forwards, left hip back. If you have blocks, grab on. Begin to walk forwards, bringing your back foot in a step. Lifting up, taking your head down towards the mat. Getting your foot as high as you can go. And then bring your arms to not quite lock, but bring you up to a flat back. 3 jiva squats on this side, crossing your knee to the outside of your opposite leg. That's 1. 3 total. 2 and 3. Extend your leg back, bring your toes back down, come back into that high lunge. Can't forget about the pulses on this side. So find a couple pulses, either bringing your knee all the way down or just pulsing up high. Coming back to high lunge, step your feet together, shake it out. Beautiful. Step nice and wide, long edge of your mat. And actually your option would be to stand closer if you like, which is more of a hamstring stretch, but we're getting a shoulder opener here as well. That same thing we've been doing with your hands clasped behind you. Clasped is a really hard word to say sometimes. Reach your hands back. Be wary of pushing your belly forwards. Maybe looking back, dropping a little bit more. Now you can either let your hands go or continue as you fold forwards to take your arms overhead. Both toes pointing forwards. I just had my hip lock up on me. So I think I'm going to go closer. Use your hands as a guide to bring you back up. If they're behind you, if they were somewhere else, you can just take them to your hips. We're going to come back down to the mat. Shake your arms out. Coming into Virasana, hero pose, like when we started. We'll be coming up onto our knees. So if you can't sit this way, you could come here right away. We're coming into camel pose next. So if you know camel pose, feel free to do it. But I did want to just talk through what you want to do, and I mentioned this at the beginning, is pretend that your low ribs up into this point where they kind of make a V are constantly pushing into the wall. So if you were to do this against the wall, you'd keep pushing that part of your body in, and you're only going to be bending from the top part of your spine. This should not come from lumbar spine. So camel pose, hips are stacked over knees. Feet, you could have a bolster or a rolled up towel or something across your legs if you want to reach back and possibly touch your heels. The full pose, if you're not familiar with it, looks like this. So you would take your hands like they're in your back pockets. Inhale and lift. Exhale, tip. Keeping that part of your body pushing into an imaginary wall, and then maybe reaching back, finding your heels. But see how I'm leaning back, pushing your body forwards, lifting and tipping. So that is an option. You don't have to do the full pose. You could keep your hands in back pockets, elbows pulled in, and just tip at the neck. You don't need the full back bend if you don't want to. And as I mentioned, if you can't reach your heels, you could put something there if you want to reach, or you don't need to reach all the way back. But if you're coming into camel pose, if you're doing the full version, come up out of hero if you're not already, hips over knees, hands in back pockets, elbows pulling together. It's like if I were to put a strap around your elbows, they'd be locked in. Inhale, lengthen. Imagine that wall, or maybe even do this against a wall as you exhale and tip. Maybe reaching for your heels. And then pushing yourself forwards. And lengthening up. Maybe letting your head tip back. If you lean back, take your hands to your back pockets, come back up. Sometimes you'll see people do this on their toes so they can reach a little bit further, and that's okay too. Sit back down into your heels. And just take a moment and feel that place in your back, that turn down there. Can you feel any more openness across your chest? Come down onto your belly, starting to wind things down. Arms along your sides, so your forehead will be down on the mat, nose down to the mat. Bring your big toes together. And actually, I'm going to turn my face so you can hear me better. Pick up your right leg so your thigh comes off the ground, and then set it back down. Do the same with the left, and then bring your big toes together. You should feel more of a connection with the ground underneath your thighs. Clasp your hands behind your back, and then go the other way. On an inhale, reach behind you with your hands, lifting through your shoulders, finding length along the sides of your body, pushing the tops of the tops of your feet into the mat. Shoulder blades pinching and down. Keep breathing. Lower down. Take your hands down by your sides, palms up. Take your feet as wide as the mat. Let your heels turn inwards. If that's not comfortable in your body, don't worry about it. And turn your head to the left. Really letting your shoulders relax. Resting your left cheek. If you need your arms underneath your head, you can do that too. Bring your feet back together, your head back to center. Bend at the knees. Reach back for your ankles. So I've got my ankles with my thumbs pointing down. If you cannot reach your feet, you can do this with a strap hooked around your feet, or you can just reach back as best as you can. We are going to lift up into bow pose if you are able to grab your ankles or if you have a strap. Keep your shoulders away from your ears. Head still looking down. You could rest your forehead on the mat for now, but what you need to do is kick your feet into your hands and then use that force to lift your feet up towards the ceiling. Shoulders come back and down, making an arch shape with your body. Keep pushing your feet strongly into your hands and lifting up towards the ceiling. You might rock a little bit as you breathe. Slowly lower down. Extend your legs long. Feet as wide as the mat. Heels turned in. Arms along your sides or underneath your face. Turn your right cheek to the mat. Really let your body go. Place your hands by your shoulders, bring your feet closer together, push back into embryo pose, knees together, big toes together, sink your heels back, head comes down to the mat, arms behind you, palms up. Let your shoulders drop down towards the ground. Become aware of your breathing. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Come up into tabletop. And find cat-cow or any other movement one more time. If you'd like to work through one last vinyasa, feel free. We'll all meet in tabletop when you're ready. Just pausing in a neutral position in tabletop. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Feel the stretch between the webbing. Notice if you're holding any tension in your legs, can you release that, let that go? Take your hands and turn your fingers the other way and lean back slightly until you get a stretch in your forearms. Turn your hands back forwards. And now I just want you to kick your feet, tops of the feet hitting the mat, like you're throwing a little temper tantrum. Letting out any tension that's there. And stopping whenever you feel ready. Feel free to throw a temper as long as you want. Come back onto your heels. Virasana. Hero pose. If you're not comfortable here, find a block or sit in simple cross legs. Take your arms out front and just do some circles with your wrists. Go the other way. If you've been on the computer a lot, you might be feeling some wrist tension. Shake them out. Take your right hand and just massage each finger, starting at your wrist and working out through each finger. Flicking away any energy. You do that with each finger 2 times. And then just take your thumb into the palm of your hand, doing some circles, going both directions, maybe even taking your wrist and gently moving it around. Anything goes, whatever feels good, just giving suggestions. Then we'll do the other side. Work from the base of your hand to the tip of each finger. Shake it out after each finger. Each finger 2 times. And then massaging the palm of your hand or moving your hand. Shaking it out one more time. We'll do a neck stretch and then we'll get ready for Shavasana. So if you're comfortable in hero pose, stay in hero pose. Otherwise, change your position. Make sure you're comfortable. Take your left hand next to you. Walk it out so you bend into your elbow a little bit. Keep your shoulders like you're between 2 panes of glass. So you might want to kind of roll forward. See if you can keep your left shoulder open. It would be like you're touching both shoulders against a wall if it was behind you. Right hand reaches out. And then reach in the same direction that your body is going, but with intention. Take your right hip down into either your heel or the floor and get a nice long stretch along your right side. Maybe rolling your right shoulder back a little bit more, maybe looking up. Really reach through your fingertips. Now, if you're looking up, look back forwards. Keep your left hand on the ground right where it is. Right palm is currently facing down. Turn it the other way and begin to reach down towards the mat. You do not need to touch the mat. What we want here is a nice stretch through your fingertips until you feel it in the side of your neck. If you're not feeling it enough, look down towards your left hand. Reach through your right fingers. You can even make little circles with your nose if you would like. Push up through your left hand, beginning to come up to a neutral position. Sometimes it's helpful to take your hand and help your head turn back, because sometimes for some people that's a really intense stretch. For me, my neck gets tight a lot, and that's actually a very, very difficult stretch for me, which means I need it, right? Other side, taking your right fingertips out, bending into the elbow, remembering to keep your left hip glued down to your heel or the floor. Left hand reaches up. You're between two panes of glass. Adjust your shoulders, turn your palm, and bend. Reaching, feeling the stretch down your left side. Keeping your sit bone glued to your heel, maybe even rolling your left shoulder back a bit more, maybe looking up towards the ceiling. If you're looking up, look towards the front. Turn your palm of your left hand the opposite way. Begin to reach down towards the ground, stretching through until you feel it in your neck. If you don't feel it, look down towards your right fingers, stretching through the left side of your neck. Check, are you between two panes of glass? Did you roll your left shoulder forward? And get ready to push back up. Maybe using your hand to help your neck look forwards again. Do a couple neck circles. Make sure you go both directions equally. And just tune in with your body for a moment. Is there anything else that you need to do before we head into your final Shavasana? If you need something else, by all means, please do it. If you are ready for Shavasana, you'll come onto your back. And sometimes it's when you get on your back, you're like, ooh, yeah, I feel good to hug my knees in or to rock a bit side to side. So do whatever it is that you need to do. If you feel like in Shavasana today, your low back is bugging you, you can take your heels as wide as the mat, your knees pointing up, and knock your knees together. That'll give you a little bit of a back relief. You could bring a blanket or a bolster or even your blocks underneath your knees for a little bit of support. That's really nice back release too. Or another option, so back bends are very energizing for some people. And so if you feel like you're a little on edge and you need to bring yourself down a little bit more, especially if you're going to bed soon, you can come into Viparita Karani or legs up the wall by taking your sit bones as close to the wall as you can get them and extend your legs up the wall. If you're near a couch, you could do this and bend your legs over the couch. That works as well. But this is a really nice pacifying pose because it's a form of an inversion with your feet above your heart. It helps your body slow down a lot. If you're in legs up the wall, sometimes it's nice to take your arms and cactus them by your sides. If you're in Shavasana, whether your knees are bent or not, find a comfortable position for your hands. On your next inhale, puff your belly up as much as you can get it. And with your exhale, melt into your mat. See if you can relax your eyes in their sockets. Imagine your brain floating back to the back of your head, down towards the floor. See if you can let go of any tension in your jaw, maybe opening and closing your mouth a few times. Noticing if you're holding any tension anywhere else in your body. Feel free to body scan, checking your neck and your shoulders and anywhere else that you know you personally hold your tension. And use your breath, use your exhales to bring a little bit more space into them, releasing tension. Seeing if you can fully surrender and fully let go. See if you can take your exhale and draw it out just a little bit more. Lengthen your inhales as well. Find a little bit of movement in your body. And then roll onto whatever side is more comfortable for you. If you have your legs up the wall or on a couch, just be aware of your surroundings as you roll onto your side. Resting a moment in fetal position. And then pushing up to a seated position when you're ready, but can you keep your head low as you come up? Just let it hang until you're all the way up. Finding any seated position that works for you, sliding your hips back. Long spine inhale. Exhale. On your next inhale, take your hands overhead, palms to touch. Exhale your hands to your heart. Find gratitude for all that your body allowed you to do today. Not berating it for what it couldn't do or getting stuck on some movement that wasn't accessible today. Shift your mindset to be grateful for all that it did do, all that it could do, all that it maybe surprised you when it was doing something. Find that gratitude. Inhale in the gratitude. Exhale, release. Namaste. I bow to you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much. We'll see you.